welcome to Metaphysical Happy Hour. Tonight we have a super special night because we're just roundtabling it, boom, straight off the start. So Elba, how's your week going? Introduce yourself because you are my co-host.
Yes. Hi, I'm Elba, psychic medium and certified life coach. And I've been doing good. It's been a busy week trying to get things moving. And just did some self-care today. That was amazing. And being here with you guys.
Awesome. Well, Danielle, we are super psyched that you are joining us. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
My name is Danielle Nice. I am a psychic medium, and that's what I do. Oh, and also a spiritual teacher. I'm so sorry. So
there you go. Yeah. Spiritual teacher. There is.
Shout out to all my my students that are watching. Yay! Oh, yeah. Hopefully they're watching.
We got some people joining us. We definitely got some people joining us.
Yay!
So everyone, if you are, all of those who are watching us, just go ahead and chime in and say hello. Send Sarah, hi. Thanks for joining us, guys. So tonight we're going to be talking about just spirituality, spiritual gifts, and really just kind of dive into Danielle and Elba both have some pretty amazing spiritual practices and businesses. So we want to just kind of dive in and let y'all talk away. Go for it.
Thanks for putting it on the spot.
Hi, Keith. How are you? Hi, Amy.
Well, maybe I'll interview Danielle. Danielle, how long have you been doing this for?
Professionally, I've been reading for 6.5 years.
Nice.
Yeah, and teaching that long. So, yeah.
Cool.
And I just broke off and created my own private practice. So, yay.
Yeah.
What has been your most significant endeavor in your spiritual practice? Is there a story or something that stands out to you?
Oh, there's many stories that stand out, but it's just connecting in with the loved ones on the other side and bringing through, and the feeling that I get and the love that I get. It's just, you can't describe the feeling until you're actually sitting in the power. Elba, I know you understand this. And then when you make that connection to your client and then they feel it, it's just magical. So right now I'm getting goosey. So we all know what goosey means. It's fun. So much fun. But many stories. A lot of stories. But
I had another question for you. When did you know that you wanted to go down the spiritual path of learning your gifts?
When Spirit nudged me big time and said, you need to do this now. I've always known that I had it because I thought everybody had this as early as I can remember, and just knowing things and feeling things, because those are right there are my strong suits. So what would you call an empath, and then the claircognizance coming in, but it's just, and then from there I just knew things and people looked at you like, that's strange. Because back in my day, I'm really old here, but back in my day, we didn't talk about this. This was nothing to be seen. So I didn't have that teacher. My teacher actually ended up on TV. I'm like, oh, there's James Brown Prague. There's Sylvia Brown. So, and then things just started coming out on the mainstream. So then I was just like, how are they doing that? That's so cool. And then lo and behold, I actually was doing it, but wasn't aware of it during that time. And it wasn't until about 1997. Yeah, I'm really dating myself. Hi, people. And going back and going, okay, this is something. It wasn't until I had my very first medium experience of, yeah, that was a story. So I can go off on that tangent. And they're like, yeah, you're a medium. I'm like, what? Really? I can't believe that. It was just more about that. That's my experience. But of course, we can talk forever about me.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Thank you. That was a good question.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned Sylvia Brown because I think she was the very first psychic that I used to follow. She was on the Montel Williams show, right? She used to come
Yes,
on
yeah.
Montel Williams, and I had her book that she had put out there, and I know there was like this one exercise of drawing a house,
Yeah.
and that was probably my very first like little insight into psychic medium. But I didn't know that I possessed or that I could build, because all of us can be psychic. You know, all of us have that intuition. It's just building that muscle and learning how to connect. So, yeah, but when I kind of dove into it, and really started trusting myself, it was very scary. So I've been in this for going on almost 3 years, and that's probably as long as, what is it, Cassie? Like 2.5 years, right? Yeah, time went by really, really fast. I started building on this, and now to those feelings that Danielle was talking about earlier about feeling what your loved ones feel like and getting those goosebumps. You know you're right on it when you get those goosebumps all over you. And people probably experience this all the time where they have a loved one that pops into their head and all of a sudden they get like goosies, and you're like, what is that? And now I understand that that's spirit stepping forward just to let us know that they're with us. But um being part of this has really helped me heal from my traumas of experiencing death and all these other things. So it's a beautiful experience. Very beautiful.
That is, that's what you can describe. It's a beautiful experience, exactly. And stepping into the power is so strong. And once you're in that power and in that zone, it's like, whoo, you're opening up the gate to the universal oneness, and everything just comes flowing in. And then when you come off of it, you're like, what?
Yeah. And
You're like,
Cassie
that
also
was
done
so,
that.
yeah. I
Right,
didn't hear
Cassie?
the
What was your experience with psychic readings and mediumship? Because that's how I met you in class.
For sure. Okay, so my experiences basically were, of course, we all know each other through essentially the same teacher. I had kind of come into the metaphysical space. I had worked for one of the metaphysical stores here in town. It was just kind of one of those situations where we were so busy, you just never had time to delve into the spiritual world. And then Colby, who we all know, came into town one weekend, and it was one of her like super highly advanced like platform mediumship workshops for like people who have been doing mediumship for like, I don't know, like easily 8 to 10 years, something like that. And here's baby psychic. I barely can do a reading in this class.
Hey, you did it. So you showed up for yourself.
Oh my God. Awesome. It was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. But it also blew me away, and it also gave me something to strive for. And so, I have been practicing my own spiritual readings and things like that. And it's so funny too, because my intuition, because primarily most of my time and energy is spent doing the projects, building the websites, doing the graphics, doing the things like, and people will like, some of the comments that I get from people are like, it is so weird working with a psychic like designer, because I will pull something out or pull something through that they're like mind blown, or they'll be sitting down to like message, like to respond to a question or something that I had for them, and they're like, I'll like send them a follow-up message, and they're like, okay, that's weird. I think actually one of my favorite stories that I can tell is one of the people that I had been doing some work with. They had a podcast that I had been helping them with. Like I'd helped them maybe a couple times here or there, and something just said, just go ahead and set it up. I was like, just have it set up in my system, have it set up. And like the night of their show, I was sitting here going, I need to go for a walk. I need to step away from the computer. I need to go do something. And something just held me here. And I was watching this person's show, and their equipment froze, boom, in the middle of their show. And I sent them a direct message, and I was like, just FYI, I've got into studio set up, ready to go. It's got all of your graphics, everything in it. Like, you are good. You are golden if you want it. And they were like, yes, please. And so, hey, Sandra, hey, how are you? But yeah, and so then I, got the opportunity to kind of run with them and help them on their podcast for at least, a couple years after that. So, it was fun. And, but they were like, I sometimes get that from my clients of like, how did you even think of or notice? I was like, I was just listening.
Really?
I was just listening over here to Spirit. I don't know. Like, but when you listen to, those conversations and things like that, like I just had another experience like that. Like my team, I guess kind of where I'm going, this is like the intuition comes in every day. Mm-hmm. Not just when we're sitting down to do a reading, not just when we're sitting down to do a thing. It's like there was one, we were, just to give a recent example, I was sitting there working on, because like I got a bunch of different projects from a bunch of different people, a bunch of different organizations, things like that. And this one person's name just kept coming up. And I had the opportunity to from here, go up to Lilydale. And I just so happened to be there on the weekend that this person was there. And I was like, I got the opportunity to say hi to them. And I was like, look, your name just keeps popping up. And I just like, it's super nice to meet you. Not entirely sure why we're meeting, but like Spirit just keeps going, here you go. And, my team and I kind of preemptively kind of put together, like I saw her, like we got the opportunity to start working on the back end of her site. And I was like, oh my God, these people were like not doing her justice in it, like so many different places. And I was like, we're just building it. We're just going to go preemptively build a site and just have it ready to present. And they were like, and when I got on the line with them, they were like, okay, yeah, redesign, let's talk. And I was like, we already have it. Client's happy, blown away, super excited. And, we're also able to kind of work on some cool things for her, but like, kind of gussy it up a little bit more than even more so. But yeah, so it's kind of like for me, my intuition or like the way I use my intuition has shifted from the actual giving of the readings to just trusting when Spirit kind of nudges you and says, hey, go this direction, go that direction, go ahead and preemptively build that site. Go ahead and preemptively build out that studio for that person. Go ahead and preemptively do that. And so it's actually putting me a little bit ahead of the game as I'm dealing with my clients on their websites and their projects and their podcasts and their things. And that's kind of cool.
It is.
Yeah, we call that being in the zone. And when you know.
When you know. Yeah.
And she's also serving tons of light workers as well, which is, I think so many of us can get stuck on wanting a purpose. Has that ever happened to you, Danielle, with clients where they want to know, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? And I think the people who are very, very stuck in that place of wanting to know exactly where their purpose is at, sometimes we kind of get a little stuck there. Does that make sense? Does that resonate a little bit?
It does. When I blend in with their energies, and then They usually don't say it right out. I feel that, and I see, it just comes out, and I'm like, I usually feel them either stuck in Jello, which is so awesome. Sometimes they're like, you just need to eat your way out of the Jello and just get up, or or they're coming to a crossroads where they sorry, or they're coming to a crossroads where they just they need to make that decision, and then some of them are wishy-washy. So I just step in and go, hey, look at it this way, look at it this way. Either way, it's up to you, because you have free will and you have free choice to do what you want to do towards your end goal, whatever that looks like for you. I'm just here to guide you, going, hey, I can see both sides. Do you want the easy way or do you want the hard way? That's up to you. But yeah, it's a feeling for me, if we're going to go back to that question.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Yeah.
when you do know, and when I do get somebody that steps into their power and is on the right path, for me, it just opens up, and it's so amazing. And I'm like, you're good. Just keep going. Green lights all the way. Yellow brick road. Just keep flowing. Whatever you're doing, don't stop doing it. And that's why with my students, I say every morning, if you can, sit in your silence, sit in meditation, get to know yourself. When you know yourself, you're feeling that power. When you're feeling that power and the energy, you're syncing up with the oneness of your higher self. And trust me, our God, or the universe, or all that, whatever you believe in, wants you to be happy. Heaven on earth. Let's sink in. When you lower that vibration and everything keeps coming down, you have to take that step back and go, what's going on that I need to check within myself? Not the outside world, myself. So let's check back. So I guide my clients and also my students to remember, check in with yourself. Get out of the ego space, check back in and see, where are we going? How are we doing? What needs to be done? Are you grounding? Did you take enough time to go outside and touch that tree, hug a tree, do whatever you need to do, put your feet in the ground, or have you been sitting on the couch eating bonbons? Which I know they don't, but but hey, it's okay to go and take a rest and sit back, right? So I don't even know what the question was. I just rambled.
No, that's answered the answer, and filled it all in and stuff. But yeah, how did you figure out your purpose? What did you do before psychic work and your spiritual teachings?
I was a professional photographer.
Ooh.
25 plus years, yeah.
I would never have guessed that.
I would never have guessed
So
that.
this, for me, sitting in front of camera, yeah, okay. It's just, yeah, congratulations. I'm just saying. For me to be on the opposite side of the camera, golden. I can do it. Yeah. No, I actually, when I lived in Philadelphia, I worked as a wedding photographer, family portrait photographer, did all that stuff. Yeah. So I went down the creative spot after high school, because I'm like, they kept giving you, what do you want to be in 1 year? Where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, and then 1 year someone's like, oh, there's a photography school and art school down in Philly. And I went, everything just lit up. And I'm like, what school is that? I need there. So that's the route I went. I went with my creative self. And so I just followed, like you, Cassie, just follow the passion, follow the flow, just kept going where I needed to go. And it all worked out. So yeah, I met some amazing people during my time working.
Well, and it's so funny because Danielle, I didn't know it till tonight, but you and I both have that experience of being the person behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because as we were
better technology wise than I am, because this was like not presented to me when I was in school. Yeah, we learned on the dinosaur. Okay. Remember the 35 millimeters and the VHS and all that stuff? Yeah, that was me sitting there.
We were talking about my job that I had prior to, well, as soon as I got out of college, I ran away to cruise ships for 5 years, but I was a videographer.
That's awesome.
And so I would go out and we would film, but I was like that tech that would like go out to film deck activities, come back completely drenched, and my manager's going, "What the hell?" And I'm like, "Camera's fine." Like, or like I would go out for an excursion and just come back like, we'd go to like to the like caves and the things, and I would just come back like
we're the ones getting dirty, right?
toe like completely covered in dirt. Or like I had a wedding couple that they so on the ships, the wedding couples can like choose their wedding package, right? And so I got this couple that was like, "Can you come film the bike tour?" We have like a 20-pound camera on our shoulder. No, I cannot film the bike tour. Well, how about the Land Rover? Like, or like every excursion they wanted to go on was like, we don't have the equipment to film that tour. So they finally decided to like go to like one of those like all-inclusive beach things. And I'm going, yeah, okay, finally.
Much better.
I can get like some decent shots of this couple. They get to the beach and immediately go out to like, when they have like those like floaty things like anchored out in the ocean, they immediately go all the way out there. And I'm like,
so how are you supposed to get the shot? Do you have a telephoto lens or something?
I did do one better. I went and I found one of the guys that the little Hobie crafts.
Oh.
And he was like, I was like, just get me on board one of those. Like, I'll be fine. I'll figure it out. And he was like, there is no way you're figuring that out. So he actually manned the teeny vessel while I'm sitting there, one hand on the boat, one hand on the camera, filming like, and I'm like, follow that couple. So,
oh my God, you became paparazzi.
Right? And so like, but it was just so funny because like there were just so many times that I would just come back and either I'd be sitting there editing or like I'd come back just like either covered in dirt from the retreat or just completely drenched, and my managers are always like nope. Nobody, because we would rotate activities, right? So like each week we would like cover a different part of the schedule. And he's like, I send other people. This doesn't happen. I'm like, I know, I'm special.
You're like, but I love to get into my work. So hey,
but
as long as you make the customer happy.
There was only one time that I ever came back without footage. And it was because the battery died on the camera. Ooh. Like the camera just malfunctioned and stopped working. So I'm like and I hadn't been out of college very often. So like I hadn't been out of college too terribly long. So I'm sitting there on the phone with our engineer that I know from college because he and I had become good friends. And I'm on the phone with him and I'm like, okay, so I've got this kind of camera and I've done these types of checks and all the things. And he's just, at some point in the conversation, he goes, where are you? I'm like, oh, I'm sitting on the catamaran in between St. Thomas and St. John. He goes, put the camera down. It's not working and enjoy your damn tour. Quick. I'm like, I called for sex support though.
It's funny you sharing this story because this is exactly who you are as a web designer. You always go above and beyond, and you're always trying to help everybody get things connected. And that's one thing that I'm truly grateful for having you and part of our community. Like we all met in Kobe Rebels spiritual business class, which I've been in for two years already and have learned how to get comfortable in front of the camera. I'm still not that comfortable, but speaking and understanding who I am right now, it's difficult, but I think the more that I grew and that I learned and that I retained, for me, what really helped me focus was meditation. and sitting with myself. And before, I can honestly say that I could not read a book without just reading the first paragraph and saying, okay, I didn't even retain any information. Now I can sit and read a book and fully get into it and understand it. And it's just knocked out so much of that chatter that I had in my brain, that it's amazing how it works.
Yeah.
You got out of your ego space and you got right into your heart center and into who you are, and you pretty much calmed down. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I just will throw this out there, just for any of the people that are listening. If you are looking to, this is where we call shameless plug, except for our teacher, and not one of us. If you are looking to grow your spiritual business, all three of us met through Colby Rebel's spiritual business class, and every single one of us have grown leaps and bounds from being in there and working with her and learning with her. She's an amazing teacher. So shameless plug over, but go check it out if you have an interest. Shameless plug. We love her. So, but yeah, so, but anyway, one of the things that I noticed that every single one of us have said is like, basically we would feel so much more comfortable being on the opposite side of the camera.
Yeah.
100%. But hey, here we're doing it, so we're stepping out of our comfort zone. And
we're
how are we looking, people? How are we looking, people in the audience? Feedback.
How we doing?
No, don't give us feedback.
How we doing?
But one thing that we all have in common is we are standing and being in our power, and that right there is extremely important during these times here on Earth. And what an exciting time we are having, aren't we? Amazing shift of energy. And we all feel it on what we do with our work. But I know there's other people out there, hello, Kitty, that are feeling it as well and going, what the heck is going on? So,
and the energies of the bones are,
and it's the ascension process and what we're going through with our body, and just raising that vibrational pattern and keeping within our energy is extremely important, and keeping with the meditation. So I hope the more that we actually do this, and the more that we feel comfortable within ourselves on camera, you think about it, we're getting the word out. And that's the whole entire process of this, of getting, say, hey, keep doing what you're doing. And if you're feeling the right thing, continue. If you don't feel good about it, stop. No one is holding you back whatsoever. So get off that and move on to what is important. And what is important is elevating and being mediums and empowering everybody. And I know, Elba, you talk about this a lot, of just being, we are a community.
Yes.
We are here for each other, and let's not put each other down. Let's lift each other up. And that's the whole entire basis. Absolutely. So, hey, I love that, by the way. He's just like, I'm feeling it. Hi.
So this is Shamrock.
Hi, Shamrock.
This is my sweet tortoiseshell.
She
is, but yeah, she likes to come up and give hugs. So
mine's over there snoring logs. So hey.
But yeah, like, and I'm glad that you talked about the raising the vibration, and just as we kind of grow and learn to step into that power, it's just like, it's kind of amazing the transformation that you see. Yeah,
100%. And when you're feeling good, what happens?
Oh, great.
Everybody feels good.
It's that.
Yeah.
You're walking in your power, and you're just like, having a bad day? Here, let me touch your Midas touch. And you keep walking on, and that comes with the small things I talk about. Opening the doors for people, giving a smile, because you don't know what's going on in their life, and they definitely don't know what's going on in yours, but always having a smile, and it's just in it. And it's a ripple effect. It's like throwing a stone in the pond and letting it move out. So it's just an amazing feeling. Again, I feel the energy shifting back in because I'm getting the goosies, and it's just So hello, everybody out there knows that when you're standing in your power, you feel it and you're going, yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, so much better. Okay, so I have to take it back because 1997, I came across this book called Celestial Prophecies by James Redfield. Have any of you read that?
No.
Please read it. Please put it on your read list. It's a very I call it a fiction nonfiction, but it is very about synchronicity and how this works and how when we step into our power, what comes up, and the people that you meet going, hey, no, that the next person, here's who you need to meet, and it just keeps going because you asked a question and you followed your heart. And then what happens at the end is, I'm not going to give it away, but it's all about the energy raising up. So everybody out there, if you read it, awesome, read it again. It's just, we need to continue to keep doing that and lifting our energy up and staying in our power and being who we are. And that is us. Nobody else can change us but us. Just remember that. So,
for sure.
So box off.
I think the funnest part for me when I give a reading or when I go into development class and, practice my gifts is turning the music on full blast to high vibed music, and I'll dance my butt off for a good 20 minutes. And I don't know if you guys are listening, try it out because I'm sure you felt it. You guys just never really paid attention. But when you pay attention, when you're dancing out there and you're having such a good time, you're not thinking nothing negative. You're thinking just about having fun. That's the only thing that comes to mind. And when you're able to knock out that ego mind and sit down and give somebody a reading and you have all these downloads of like, I see this, I feel this, that's what mediumship is. That's what it means to raise your vibes. That's what it means to be with your higher self. So just try it out. Next time, pay attention. I think being very aware. I got to sit in Danielle's class yesterday, and it was fun. I was glad to be part of her class and just to see how she works, right? Because we all work differently. We all have a way of connecting with spirit. We all can. I'm sure you see Tyler Henry and how he works and how much information he brings through. And how sometimes it just comes naturally to people. Like you just already know something's going to happen. That's your higher self stepping in. And, but yeah, I think that raising your vibes, starting your day off like that. So I love to sometimes start my day off if I have the chance, but definitely, letting go of negative energy, journal. Journal. I think so many of us working as a life coach and going through this whole program myself, I realized how emotionally attached I was to my emotions and how I reacted so many times on just being angry and upset and not understanding why I reacted like that. But then I can think back and I'm like, wow, I acted like a psycho. Or I acted really.
Now you're recognizing you were and now you're not.
Have
now
those
you're psycho.
We all have those moments. If we could really be honest with ourselves, we always had those moments where.
I have those moments where, I'll. I mean, it's usually because I get lost in my own spin. And it's just this constant like train, but it's kind of like once I finally get myself off the train, then it's almost like my energy shifts completely. And I'm like, oh no, that's totally, I'm like, oh, except you can't really explain that one, can you? Okay. Danielle, what is the book title one more time? Somebody's asking.
It's Celestial Prophecies. I might be saying that wrong, but it's by James Redfield, and it's back in 1997. He has it's the first insight. It's the first book, but it goes all the way up to 12 insights. So there should be 4 books total. And they did make a B-rated movie on it. So it was kind of like, it wasn't, I guess, what do you call that? Rotten Tomatoes. It was kind of low. But I don't know if you find it.
I'm putting that title in there, and we can just look it up as we go. But then it's there in the chat. Gives you something to go on to go find it. So,
it's funny, Elba, because before I got on, I was listening to techno just to raise the vibration out. So as you said that, I was like, yes, I was doing the ooh, ooh. But it was just more of the contemporary techno. It was raising that vibration.
Yeah.
100%.
What else? What other things changed for you going into spirituality?
Oh yeah, your whole world will blow up because you're letting go of who you thought you were or who you thought you were supposed to be. So it just kept going, and everything just went away. And I was sitting with myself for a very long time and walking the path, but I was not alone. And that's the one thing that people think, well, I'm alone doing this. No, you're absolutely not. You have a whole entire team that's standing right behind you, that's behind the curtain that you can't see, that's helping you move along to where you need to be. And it's all about trusting and believing in that. And then once you got through the ego phase, like you said, you were reacting because you were so stuck in a victim mode, or the reaction to that you kept getting triggered, but you learned right then and there, I'm being triggered. So with that, we have to take a step back into ourselves. And a lot of people go, that's the deep seated part of the soul that we have to face. We have to face our own self in the mirror. And not a lot of people that want to work with that. So they choose to turn away from the light, and they choose to sit with them because it's comfy. We worked through that. And as we worked through that, we grew to who we are now. And we're going to continue to grow no matter what, because we're here, we're going to go up to here, and then we're going to go up to here, and we're going to go up to here. It's just one step in the process. So yeah, I lost pretty much everything, and then I gained so much more. So if I had to do it over, would I? Hell yeah.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Excuse my language, people, but I'm swearing.
I agree. I remember being in Kobe's class and getting into development class. And I was on this roller coaster of like, oh my gosh, this feels amazing. I can feel the magic. And then the roller coaster went down. I was like, and I'm crying. I'm messaging Kobe. I'm like, I can't be in class. I was like, I can't be in class. I have so many things going on in my life, and I don't understand why it's happening. And she would tell me, show up, Elba. And every time I showed up, I needed that nudge. I needed somebody to tell me, get yourself out of that. It's going to be okay. And yeah, now I could, it's funny. It's like this funny story now, right? But being so stuck in my emotions of sadness, depression, being angry, not understanding why people are the way they are. This is probably something good to share with you guys is I had an experience with another coach where we practice, and we kept talking about, I remember him asking me why I did something. And when he asked me that, I kept feeling like I had to explain myself and I had to defend myself, and I felt triggered, and this was the time after that, I stood with that. I tried to explain to him, but I couldn't explain it to him. Then the next time we had a coaching session, we were working with one another, and he was telling me he was having a conversation with his sister, and he kept asking her, well, so why do you go back and ask our parents for this if you know how they are? And then I was like, oh my God, that's it. When you ask the word why, people feel that they have to defend themselves. So if we can reprogram ourselves and ask how, not why, but when you can change one simple word in how you ask somebody, you can take them down a deeper road. and you can get to understand how they got to that point. And that alone was just like this aha moment in my life where I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, how powerful words are. And
100%.
so many of us don't understand that because we're so programmed to see and ask these questions. So why is that person like that? Or, but when you can really sit and come from a non-judgmental place, it's amazing.
Well, the dog agrees 100%.
Yep.
So
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely my house is full of fur kids.
Yeah, that's the most important key is watch your wording. And how can they say, we're getting close to Halloween, so it's like the spell time, people are like, ooh, woo woo, witch, whatever going on.
I love the witchy stuff.
Yes.
I know, but it's just more like watch the wording, because everything that you say is pretty much you're casting it out there into the universe, and the universe will provide. I always use the analogy of, okay, what do you want? Your wish is my command. And someone goes, I want $100. I mean, okay, let's go $1 million. And then they wake up the next day.
I want to win the Powerball.
Isn't that up there like 100 billion or 1
billion? Yeah,
$1 billion.
No. Okay, so I want to win $104 billion, but in this case, it was the Bucks. Not the Bucks from Tampa, but Bucks. Yeah, I just lost my mojo. Just went, down. Anyways, they wake up the next morning and what's on their lawn is $100 or $1 million, and they're like, "Watch your wordings. How would you want to reword that of what you want to have happen for you in your highest and best interest? Always."
Yeah.
I need to go and make $1,000 plus. I always add the plus in there. Or I need $2,000 plus, or whatever you need in order for you to sustain yourself or moving forward, or I'm looking for this. Always add more, and always in your best interest.
And that's why they always say, be careful with what you say.
Yeah.
Right?
Words are spells.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mess up on the words all the time. And there are so many times where I'm like, no, I didn't mean it that way. I meant it in a completely different way. I'm sorry. And that gets me into trouble.
No, the universe doesn't understand that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
And that's another book. Is the Four Agreements, and I'm sure you've all read that.
I love that book.
Yeah.
So
and he came out with the fifth agreement too, which I've read, in the process of reading. I have like 20 books here. I don't know if you're like me. I have 20 books stacked and higher, and some on my Kindle going.
Read me.
Read me. Open me up. But hey. And that's another thing is like you ask for your higher self and you open it up and it's exactly what you need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, and here's a question: who's done spell work actually in their dreams?
Ooh,
never.
Interesting. Okay, do tell. There's a story here.
Yeah. So there was there was a situation like kind of way back where, it was just the situation I was in. There was a lot of manipulation, a lot of control, a lot of whatever. And I had this dream, and in the dream, I actually cast like a spell. And it was the weirdest thing because everything rhymed, everything was like perfect. I've never heard it anywhere. I've never written it down. I've never nothing, but it was like this, and I literally went,
Elba, don't make Cassie mad. Just like don't make her mad. You might do spell work.
I know.
Well, it was kind of one of those dreams where it was like in the dream, it was like the people that had been like kind of coming at me for like certain things or whatever kind of just like stopped and were like, oh shit, we better it was like seriously the tables all of a sudden turned in the dream, and I was like, did that just happen? Oh, and it was just one of those like moments where you just kind of go,
What?
I mean, just to be safe, I'm gonna go. like, okay.
Dropping the mic, leaving. What's that movie?
And I'm like, what the, like, that was got to be one of the weirdest experiences ever. But I remember it. Ritual. I do love the spell work. I do love, you know, like I do love that. You know, actually, even Elba and I was flipping through last night and I found a little money spell and I was like, ooh, I like it. You know, because I do like the rhyming and I do like the things. Here, we'll read that one just because, you know, it's
Halloween. Well,
it's Halloween. It's lottery. We were talking about words. Let's just, you know, do it. Let me find that really fast.
And is that live tonight? Are they doing the drawing tonight, or am I just?
They are. So it's it's one of these, and this was a Facebook quote or one that I got off of Moon Magic, and it's money come unto thee, abundant wealth 3 times 3, with harm to none as you find your way. May wealth increase every day. Bring thy money 3 times 3. Hear me now, so shall it be. And so shall it be.
Like, let it rain.
Let it rain. I love into the spell work, and I do actually really love. There's actually somebody that I follow in you know, some of the University Magicus people. If you haven't checked them out, they're super fun. But Patty Negri does a lot of spell work classes over there. She also talks about familiars. She also talks about you know, a bunch of things. So like if you have any interest in those areas, she's all about working in the light.
Always and forever.
Always in the light. But if you are interested kind of in those more spellcrafty things, Patty Negri is a great one to follow. She's super fun. So
yeah, I actually have a spell book, and I had gotten it a while ago, and I still haven't like looked through it. But it's not black magic. It's magic, you know. And I think so much of people back in the days when they called them witches, they were psychic mediums or they were healers, but so much fear comes out of people.
So much fear comes out of that.
There's just so much fear of people not wanting to be seen for who they are, and those are the negative.
Well, that's because of the dogma that was taught to us, and we weren't supposed to speak up, and how could you try to understand that? And that's just all the programming, and that's just not this lifetime. It goes back lifetimes. So this is the lifetime that we actually, and not just us, but everybody out there in the community, and then some, need to step into their power, need to come out and raise their vibrational pattern and be the authentic, true who they are. 100%. It's now or never. I'm just letting you know, this is a crucial time for us. So yeah, step into it. However, which way it works for you, let it work for you. If you feel good doing it, do it. No one's going to stop you. And that's the whole thing, is what you talk about, Alba, is the fear coming in.
Yeah.
And it's like, for us to get on the camera, it's like, oh my God, seriously.
Right.
How was Danielle? Danielle was like, do I look good? Do I at the beginning?
I know, like
exactly.
It is, and
I'm setting up going, yeah.
That's the voice of judgment, right? Alba, you don't look good enough, or what are you thinking? Who's really going to listen to you? There's a really good book called The Untethered Soul by
yes, that's a good book.
Michael Singer. Amazing book. If you're looking to build a foundation on love and learning how to let the energy flow through and how we let it flow through. I know there was one where he talked about, he kind of gave an example about how energy can get stuck, right? And he made a reference to this guy who had just lost his girlfriend, and he was depressed, and he was in bed for like 2 weeks, and everybody was calling him, asking him how he was doing, come on, come
We
out
don't
with
want
us.
to talk about that. You
No,
need to
nothing.
fix it.
Yeah. And he started feeling weak. He wasn't eating.
Mhm.
As soon as the girlfriend called him back to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, he was up. Oh my God, yes, let's meet. He showered. And this is how energy works, right? Because we get so stuck in being depressed. We get so stuck in not acknowledging, like, it could have been that she just didn't even know who she was, that she left him, not because he wasn't good enough. And this is where like that voice of judgment comes in, and that's basically what Michael Singer talks about, is learning how to get rid of that voice of judgment and bringing in that voice of wisdom.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's also where the ego, because your ego is so programmed to tell you not to,
Yeah.
you possibly can't do this, or what are you doing and all that stuff. No, it's exactly the same. Move that. I always like, if you ever see me doing this, I'm moving the ego out of the way. I'm like,
Yeah.
be gone.
Yeah.
Oh, and another piece I kind of wanted to talk about was if you're talking about like sigil. So like I do sigils. I work with sigil magic. That's it's more symbols and things like that. But I like to kind of work that into my graphics work and kind of take it up like a couple notches, right? But I pulled one up while we were sitting here talking. This is kind of one of my favorites that I built.
Ooh, I love
Ooh,
that.
that's pretty.
So that it's like Helm of All for like protection, things like that. And then of course you can create your own. But that's just another way to set it's really just another way to visually set your intention and represent what you were wanting to bring in. And what's kind of cool about that is you will find with a lot of hotels or a lot of like businesses, things like that, they have like their own logo, like the logo for the store or the like hotel or whatever, but you'll get inside and there will be that like random repeating symbol on the wall or in the floor or something like that. That's just kind of like looks like a decoration, but it's not really like, it doesn't necessarily mean anything to the person. But a lot of the times businesses have invested in actually doing that sigil and then having that worked into all of their like floor work, or their like they imprint it all over the building of that's their intention to bring in for that business.
That's awesome. That's a nice little nugget to.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that, so thank you for sharing.
Yeah. I remember Cassie working on those.
Yes.
Yeah. It's there's just so many things out there, and I think creativity is something so many of us lack.
Mm-hmm.
And when you
Yeah.
can step into being creative, like today I did this quantum clinic float tank, and that was amazing. After I was done, I went and they had like things that you can do. You can mold clay, you can play with the sand, and you can do, it was this coloring of the outline of a person with chalk. And I just sat there and enjoyed my time by myself. I had this whole beautiful room to myself, and drinking tea, having my water, just being with myself. It felt so good. And I think a lot of people fear that, of being by themselves.
100%.
And when you know that you can be by yourself, I think that's a great place that so many of us could be, is learning that.
An independent female intimidates people.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's still ingrained in our society, but when you are so empowered and you can just go, you know what? I don't need that. I'm good with myself, and you choose you, says ripples through that. And it also it's a good point too, because it shows our daughters that's growing up, that hey, we don't need I'm sorry for the men out there, I really am. We don't need to depend on that, because we can depend on ourselves.
Yeah.
And that right there is our power. And that is where, because we do understand the moon flow, and we do understand that. We can go on a whole nother topic, girl. I'm just
Yeah, and I think that was the thing is I have a workshop coming up. So if anybody wants, you can find it on elbagardon.com. But the workshop is called Awakening Mothers Within, and teaching them tools on how to self-love and learn about bringing awareness to themselves and what that does for them. So I went on a bike ride to go put flyers out to my community, and just, and I felt so good. Like, just, I was on a mission, and I and I can remember the other day I was in meditation. I was like, how can I get more people to come to my workshop, and I was like, go for a bike ride. I would print out your flyers. So, I did that yesterday. I printed out my flyers this morning, and I went on my bike ride. I did the quantum clinic float tank, and
oh, you did a float tank?
yeah, it was amazing.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. And they actually do couples there too. So they have a big enough float tank for couples. And it was so different than floating in a pool, because when you're floating in a pool, you have to really try to help yourself. But
because your float tank, right?
Yeah, and in this float tank, I don't know how many tons of Epsom salt that is inside of it, and it has vibrational sounds going on while you're in there, and the inside. I felt like I was in the universe. I felt like I was an astronaut laying on my back, just looking out at all the stars, because it has like twinkling little stars.
And you're not in the complete darkness, because that's where I would be like claustrophobic.
No, you can dim the lights, you can put the music up, you can lower it however you want, you can leave the door open, because you might feel a little like a sauna, but it's less than a sauna. Sometimes you kind of get out of breath, but I would definitely recommend it for people. And I spoke with the guy afterwards, and he was like, how was your experience? And I was like, it was good. I was like, I felt like I was floating out in the universe. And he's like, did any feelings come up for you? And I said, and then I told him, I'm a psychic medium. I said, I'm also a life coach. I said, so I've really worked through my trauma. So nothing really came up for me. And he's like, oh, so you're very open. I said, yeah. I said, my chakras are very open. So, but for some people, you may get emotional things that you're experiencing, and it's meant to let those things out. It's really, and this is how energy works. But yeah, definitely recommend it.
Oh yeah, because when you're shedding the layers, and I call it the onion effect. So when you pull back one, it's another one, or the spiral, and you keep coming back and back around until it's lessened, and you're just raising that vibrational, your energy level up as this melts away. You're not changing anything. You're just changing who you are, and you're meeting who you're going to be. So a lot of things. Oh my goodness, we can talk all night.
No, girl. We really can. we're coming right up to the hour, so it's
how long can we stay on? I'm just letting you know, we got more stories. Come on.
So
I get a little punchy around this time of night,
That's for the after party. after the show.
No, this is so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for everybody that's joined us here tonight. Thank you, Danielle and Elba, for jumping on. Before we go, though, Danielle, why don't you tell everybody how they can get a hold of you?
My website is thenicemedium.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and also TikTok. You can find me there. And I am teaching classes, and they're going to be posted via Zoom. So I'm going to be putting out there shortly, I should say, is a beginner's class for psychic development. So if you are interested in understanding more about your clairs, your feeling, seeing, knowing, pretty much like what we talked about, of opening it up on a beginner's platform, then that class is for you. And then later on, I'm going to be also opening it up to a beginner's mediumship, so you understand what you're developing into as you are guided with the higher realm. So
Awesome.
And also I do readings too. So yeah,
Fantastic.
And shameless plug.
Yes, shameless plug. We love them. And I did just drop your website into the chat. So Elba, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at elbagardon.com, and you can also find me on Instagram at Medium Elba, and I am on Facebook as well as Elba Gardon, and I believe I'm on TikTok. I'm starting to like rev up my social media stuff, but those are the places that you can find me at. Meanwhile, and just to let everybody know that we all work virtual. So does Cassie, Danielle. There is no limit. You know, I think so many of us, we are so limited into what our possibilities are, but we can coach from wherever we're at. We can give a reading from wherever we're at. It could be over the phone. It could, as long as the vibration is there, that's all we need. So don't feel like, you know, I can't go to a physical location. We're always here, just like we are on this podcast. We meet the same way via Zoom.
Exactly.
And energy is energy.
For sure. For sure. And if anybody would like to come find me, my company is Stargazers Unite, stargazersunite.com, kind of across the board. We've been so busy with projects lately that I have not had time to do my own social media. So we will get back around to that soonish. But anyway, once again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great night, and we do have a couple more shows coming up. So come join me and Elba for those upcoming shows. And Frances, you are also a psychic medium. Yay. Thanks to Danielle. Oh, thanks to Frances. Go Danielle.
Yeah. He's been sitting with me for what, 5 years now, Frances?
That's amazing.
Has it been maybe longer? I'm not sure, but yeah, he found me at one of the metaphysical shops here in town. So he's come leaps and bounds. I'm so super proud of that dude. It's a blessing. So
awesome.
It is.
Well, everyone have a great night, and we will see you next time.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yay.